Welcome back to the mid-morning show with myself, Nafisa Dango, and it's definitely been an inspirational morning talking about upliftment, giving back, and changing people's lives for the better. And this is where SANCA comes in. SANCA Nishtara is a non-profit registered and leading organization committed to treatment, prevention, and fighting the ever-increasing pandemic of substance use and abuse. The rates within the communities and in the country, as we know, are really bad. It's increasing as all the time. People are getting involved with substance abuse in many directions, and this is where Nishtara comes in to be able to uplift, empower, and change people's lives. And to discuss that with me this morning, I have Brother Nazar Loonat on the line. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah for hosting us.
Thank you so much for taking the time out to join us this morning. I think to be able to make us understand, should we say, the plights of certain people. And, as we know, it's such a taboo subject, this story of, should we say, people being on substance abuse. And I think many communities don't actually want to discuss it. But I think it's pertinent for people to understand the types of situations they're in and what it means for them and for you to be able to reach out and change their lives for the better and, of course, help them get over it. Paint the picture for us. But before we do that, just tell us a little bit about your organization and what it means for you to be able to go out there and try and make those differences.
Jazakallah. As you said, it's a bit difficult in terms of the topic of addiction. So what we do is we don't say addicts anymore. We say service users. So in terms of our center, we offer the services obviously in terms of around substance abuse, in terms of assessments, inpatient facility, outpatient facility. We've got an outpatient program for adolescents. We've got an aftercare program, which is long-term, that is to assist with maintenance of sobriety. We've got personal wellness, multi-drug testing, awareness and prevention, that is our outreach department. We're also in partnership with the Department of Social Development in terms of the Kimoja Life Skills Development Program. These are the programs that we run out in schools, in the clinics, and generally in the communities. We also obviously in terms of employee assistance programs, family support groups, and training workshops to name a few.
Okay, so let's talk about substance abuse and what it is for people. How can people in their homes, that are facing the situation with a family member, actually reach out to you? Because a lot of the times you find that they're finding it difficult to actually want to go out and look for that help and look for that support structures, yet you're out there to be able to assist them with the types of situations they're in. What sort of advice would you give family members like that to say, how would we change it? Because a lot of the times people say that it's up to the person themselves whether they want that help or not. Would you agree on that, Nazar?
Okay, I do agree, because obviously in terms of recovery is a voluntary process. No one can be forced to recover. That is a failure at the beginning. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come from the back with stats.
Right.
So if I bring up some statistics to the front, maybe it becomes more easier for us to want to engage around it. So if we say, for argument's sake, in terms of the UN World Drug Report 2014, substance dependency statistics show that drug consumption, in other words, dacha, cocaine, and crystal meth, which is called TUC, in South Africa is twice the global average and second to none in Africa.
Sure.
The average age of drug dependency in South Africa is 12 years and decreasing. South Africa is among the top 10 narcotics and alcohol abusers in the world. For every 100 people, 15 have a drug problem. For every 100 rand in circulation, 25 rands is used or linked to the substance abuse problem. This is from the Christian Addiction Support 2016. As of 2017, it is reported that South Africa has the highest prevalence of FAS, fetal alcohol syndrome, in the world, with a prevalence rate which is 14 times more than the global average. Alcohol is the most commonly misused drug in South Africa. The, the per capita consumption of alcohol in South Africa is around 11 liters per person. This
Sure.
ranks in the top 20 per capita alcohol consumption worldwide for individuals drinking alcohol, and is the highest consumption in Africa. So how's that for a starting point?
I think it's actually very perturbing to think that our stats are so high, and I spoke to a person a while ago regarding the same topic, and it was actually scary because he started substance abuse at the age of 12. And I think that's
Yeah.
where the scary part comes in, because people are actually not realizing that their young children are getting involved with this particular situation. What would they have to look out for to know that their particular child or a person in their family or friend is actually involved with something?
Can we start by demystifying addiction and what it understand and what it entails,
I think we
and
need
then
to, because
maybe
there's
go
a
there?
misconception there. Yes, most
100%.
definitely.
See, previously, when research was done in terms of addiction and the study of addictive behavior, that now we're talking of the 1930s,
Mm,
people addicted to drugs were judged as morally flawed and lacking in willpower.
right.
So, if people were judged as morally flawed and lacking in willpower, it means that they became, for lack of a better word, the outcasts.
Right.
And no one would want to touch them because then it was as if it was contagious.
Mm,
So
mm,
what had happened is, obviously there was research that continued, and with the new research that had come to the fore, it has now been established that society's views around addiction was wrong, because society was treating it as a moral failure rather than a health problem.
mm. That is
So
true.
now, when we look at it, or when we're saying that society was treating it as a moral failure instead of a health problem, it means, and then they became more of punishment rather than prevention and treatment. So it meant that if you're an addict, you needed to be punished because you were
Mm,
morally flawed.
right.
But
So,
obviously, in
so
light of new evidence that has
we would say
surfaced,
then that the approach was completely wrong then, and I think there was a serious misconception
ah,
there. I think we
and
need to
and then
now.
obviously,
I think we now need to take a different angle, and this is where you coming in with your Kick Your Habit campaign. So let's talk
right.
about that, Brother Nazar, because I think it's important for people to understand how they can help their family members. Because as we know, when a person is on substance abuse, it's not just that particular person that is affected; it's the entire
Oh,
family or the people around them that are affected as well.
no, no, no. They are affected and affected. They
Mm.
are affected with a A, and the rest is affected with a E.
Sure, that's scary, eh?
It is. Thank you for bringing the Kick Your Habit up. Obviously, it will be important to give some background before we get to it, so
Mhm.
that the listeners and the followers would be able to understand what it is about and what our intention is. So, what we're
Right.
saying is that, obviously, where we left off is that obviously new evidence describes addiction as a disease that affects both the brain and behavior. So, if
Mm.
it is a disease, and remember, the United Nations has now classified it as a chronic disease.
Mm.
So, addiction is defined as a chronic relapsing brain disease that is characterized by compulsive substance seeking and use, despite the harmful effects or the
Sure.
harmful consequences. Now, when we talk of substances, we're not necessarily, this is where it changes also. When we talk of substances, we're not necessarily only talking of, for argument's sake, cocaine, cat, um, dacha, tobacco.
Mm.
There's now other addictions. We've got social media addictions. We've got sugar addictions. We've got eating disorders, which is addiction. Depression is an addiction to sadness. So you see, when that opens up, it opens up now a whole different conversation. So with that in mind, we obviously launch in terms of SANCA. We obviously launch between 21st to the 27th of June our Kick Your Habit campaign. All
Mhm.
that Kick Your Habit campaign is about, it says that for us to now be able to be empathetic towards service users, and more especially in terms of recovery, what it is that they go through, we
Mm.
say that let us challenge our community members, our friends, our country, our colleagues, to say, let us find one habit that we can give up for 7 days. So
Right.
if I'm addicted to coffee, for argument's sake, which is caffeine,
Mm-hmm.
and I decide, okay, let me give up caffeine for a week.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see what it is that I go through in that week. And when I experience what it is in terms of withdrawals and everything else related to it, I then will be able to be more empathetic towards that outcast, so-called outcast, which is a drug addict.
I'm so actually grateful that you've brought that up, because that was what I was going to come to. Is the only time you're going to understand a particular person's experiences is when you experience it yourself. Otherwise, what happens is people tend to
Ah,
get judgmental. And as you were saying, if you give up something that you're so used to, accustomed to having, and then having to then encounter those withdrawal symptoms, is the
ah,
only way we are as individuals that are not in that situation are going to understand what those people are going through. Because as we know, communities actually on the whole start stigmatizing these people, and then it becomes a taboo subject, and then they just a lot of members actually just try and hide it and kick it under the carpet and say, well, we're not going to deal with it, we'll just hope that it goes away one day, but without realizing that we need to face this particular issue head on in order to be able to be more empathetic to the people that are in that situation. So, what advice would you give us as individuals to say, how do we help them to be able to help themselves?
okay. So what we're saying is, we are in the middle of the campaign because the campaign started off on Monday. But I
Right.
don't think it matters. I don't think it matters that we are in the middle of the campaign, because we can still start today and say, let us give ourselves a week.
Mm,
Whether we go over the 27th or not is irrelevant. The importance of this is not the dates, is the experience. So we
mm,
say, pick something that you are accustomed to, whether it is coffee in terms of caffeine, whether it is your cigarettes in terms of tobacco, whether it's your chocolates, whether it's your sugar, whether it's your social media, whether it's your shopping, whether it's your gaming, etc. So pick one and then make a decision to refrain from it for a week.
mhm.
And to make it more exciting, we say document your experiences. Whether you do it online as a blog, or whether you do it offline in terms of write, but write down your experiences.
Mm,
Write down the way that you feel. Write down
mm.
what it does to you, because then you'll be able to see on a smaller scale how it is that addiction really affects um, those addicts on, for argument's sake, hardcore drugs.
Right. How do
And
we
then
help
by
them?
doing that, um, by going through the experiences, right, we get to
Mhm.
feel what it is that they feel. But that
Right.
does not necessarily mean that we now, because we feel what you feel, we must open up the door, and
Mm.
you can then do what it is that you want because I feel for you. It's not what we're saying. What
No,
we're
it's
saying
making
is
you
that if you are,
understand.
it's making you understand
Yeah,
so
I
that we
think
become more
it's
personal.
putting
We be,
us in the situation, Nazar, where we now experience what that person's going through, get empathetic towards them, and try and find them the necessary help, but make them also understand the type of situation that they're in is not good for their lives. We need to help them uplift themselves and change their lives for the better. And we can do that by having that empathy and sitting them down and making them understand that we've tried this and this is how we understand now how you feel. But how do we get them to change that mindset in some way to say that I really do want to go out there and kick that habit?
ha, that is a challenge. And I'm saying it's a challenge because we have to accept that each person has got their own agency. I can
Mm,
decide what is good for me, and I can decide what is
yes.
not good for me. And that agency, fortunately or unfortunately, is, is maybe an obstacle. But all that we can do is, if we go through that experience, we'll be able to connect. And when we are able
Mm,
to connect, we'll be able to be more empathetic in terms of our discussions with them, in terms
right.
of how we feel, how they feel. But that doesn't mean that we then just leave it at that. We can only encourage and support.
Mm,
In terms of encouraging, what options are available. If, for argument's sake, they need to go for assessment, that there is a support structure in place to assist them. And remember, addiction is a symptom of a bigger
mm,
problem. So,
yes.
what in our case, looking at our trends, We come from a very violent background,
Mm,
and a very violent and aggressive background. And in my opinion, what it is that violence and that aggression was sent down from generation to generation. And what
mm,
has happened is that we have found ways to deal with it, and those ways to deal with it, obviously, going into politics, was because also of the apartheid system and how alcohol was used as a payment method.
mm, mm,
And so what had happened is that it had then created this situation. The fact of the matter is, we don't currently have sufficient or reliable research in terms of social media addiction. And if it
right.
is that, for argument's sake, we just look at social media addiction, which is the biggest addiction, in my opinion, currently that we have,
That's
not
true.
as not as a country, as the world.
Mm,
And all that it says is that we escape reality and we go into virtual reality. Because in virtual reality, everything is fine. Now, there's the
mm,
problem. The
right.
problem is that we are sitting with challenges, we are hiding it, whether it's pride or ego, or, that we don't want to come out. But this is what we need to do, and this is where Kick Your Habit campaign comes in, to say there is no need to be shamed.
Mm,
It is a disease, it is a problem, but the only way we are ever going to tackle it is if we need to take it head on. We can't be hiding in our homes, locking our doors, and pretending as if nothing is happening. We can no longer put our heads in the sand and have the ostrich effect that says that, you know what, no one needs to know.
mm.
We need to break the ice. We need to start having more conversations around it so that we are able to then break those barriers, and people can then come out and we can then engage, and hopefully in the long term, find a way to eradicate the scourge of addiction, not necessarily substance abuse.
Right. So when we would talk about the word addiction, we're not literally only just referring to substance abuse. It's about all the other
No.
things that you brought up as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
Um, and I think that's where the misconception has always come in. And I think, how do we get over the stigmatization? Because I think that actually gets people into a worse space than they were before. It creates this, should we say, reputation with them where they feel they don't want to go for help because people always are already looking at them in that particular light. How do we change that as a community? Because in a lot of communities, when you look at it from a holistic point of view, this is the biggest problem, is the stigmatization and the taboo part about it.
Yes, you're quite correct in that regard. And unfortunately, as long as we are not having those conversations and we are opening up our 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 meeting venues, or we're making it a regular topic, people are still going to be out in the cold. The more we address it, the only way we are going to be able to bring this topic to the fore is that we need to make it a daily topic. And when we make it a daily topic, the hope is then create opportunities and spaces for people to be able to feel safe, so that they can engage, and find solutions to the challenges. Unfortunately, no one can force anyone. But if someone
Mm,
decides that they need help, you will be surprised at the amount of facilities that are available and open to assist, because of
mm,
the issue of it. And if we just do like a small exercise, because remember, society in itself, through the stigmatization of, for argument's sake, drug addiction,
mm,
society fails to take into account the issue of, for argument's sake, a simple thing like social media addiction. Because I
mm,
didn't break into someone's house, I didn't rob someone, I didn't do this or I didn't do that to maintain my habit, it means that the one society green lights some addictions and red lights other addictions. And that is
mm,
where our problem is. Addiction is addiction. Because
mm,
if we take, for argument's sake, this is where we relate to the youth. We say, okay, so you have a social media account, counts more than one.
mm,
And let's just take, for argument's sake, TikTok, you decided you wanted to do a quick dance move. You did a quick dance
mm,
move, you uploaded it. Now you sit to wait how many people like it. You're waiting to sit and see how many people are commenting. And if
mm.
5 minutes go by and no one has liked it, you are going into a depression automatically.
Right.
The moment someone likes it, all of a sudden you are lit up, you are excited, you're waiting for more and more. And that is the effect of drugs.
Mm,
Exactly the same thing.
right.
Exactly the same thing. Only the means are different.
You're so right. I think you've created such an awareness today where I think you've got us thinking about what you've said, especially when it comes to the addiction part. I think a lot of us have a lot of us have not realized that there's more to it than just that. So tell us a little bit more quickly about the Kick Your Habit campaign. Of course, it's meant to create awareness. It's meant to make you understand the types of challenges people are facing, and how to deal with it. And not just from a substance abuse type of point of view, but from all the other types of views as well. And identifying it, and of course, trying to progress away from it. And I think that that would create a better, should we say, environment for yourself and a better life for yourself.
No, 100%. You are spot on there. What we're saying is over and above what I've just mentioned in terms of kick your habit. It's a two-pronged approach. The first approach is obviously in terms of the empathy to get encourage people to give up one habit for a week so they can identify. The second aspect of it is in terms of from a marketing aspect. So I'm going to show you quickly. I don't know if you can see. I've got
Yes,
this bandana that says "Kick Your Habit."
yes,
Can you see it clearly?
yes, we can.
Okay, so the second aspect of it obviously is is that as an NGO we rely a lot on government and private funding. So in order for us to be able to maintain our services, we do a fundraising to augment the financial impact of the programs. So the second part of the Kick Your Habit is that what we are promoting is we are promoting this bandanas that says Kick Your Habit, SANCA Kick Your Habit, at a cost of 50 Rand, which is available from ourselves. Um, yeah, so it's two ways. The first way is that you obviously contribute through giving up one habit, and the second way, obviously, from a financial position that says that we then can have additional funds to do additional work in terms of reaching out to more people, servicing more people, and obviously taking the message further.
Yes,
Can I
and
give you our
I think
contact
that's
details?
good. Yes, that's what I was just going to ask you for.
Okay.
You read my mind. That's a bit scary.
Yeah, we connected telepathically.
It is. Hey, I think you already know what I'm going to be asking next.
Okay, so our organization is SANCA Nishtara Recovery and Wellness Center. Our contact numbers is 011 854 5988.
Okay.
011 854 5988. Alternative number is 011 852 2176. 011 852 2176. A third number is 011 852 2657. 011 852 2657. If anyone would like to get in touch with us, you can drop us a mail at info@sankanishtara.co.za. Sanka Nishtara, all lowercase. Should I spell it?
No, I'm sure people would actually. I think Nishtara is so well known. You've been in the industry for so many
Yes.
years, and the types of success stories that have come out of there have had a major impact on society. And I think that's what we wanted to also shed light on and commend you on the type of work that you've been doing for so many years to make differences in people's lives, and uplifting and empowering them, because that's what it's about. Because once you uplift and empower, you create a long-term sustainability situation, which I think is very important, because people that are in these types of situations of different types of addiction don't actually realize what sort of impact it has on those three words. So we want to thank you for actually going that extra mile and commend you and your team on the phenomenal work that you've been doing for so many years. What message would you like to leave us with this afternoon?
Thank you so much. I will forward your remarks to our director. Might I just add that I myself am one of those success stories, by the way.
That's phenomenal. Congratulations. It's nice to see. It's actually rewarding for people like us to see people like yourselves changing yourself for a better and realizing that there's more to life than just that. So congratulations, you do make us proud being a success story, standing there and being a role model for Nishtara themselves to say that if I can do it, so can you.
No, Jazakallah. But I guess my message is very short. And it says that if you need help, no matter how hopeless you are, there is hope even for the hopeless. All you need to do is reach out. In this field, we are not here to judge. We are here to assist in whichever way we can. However, we only support. We can hold your hand. But if you make the decision, we can make the impossible possible. And on ending on that one, I'd like to ask that we make SANCA hashtag SANCA Kick Your Habit trend, because the Kick Your Habit is a SANCA program.
Most
So
definitely.
again, hashtag SANCA Kick Your Habit.
And we most definitely from Salam Media want to wish you all the success as far as that goes. And we definitely will be following that to see how far we get with it, and hoping to tap into you after that to see how it went along, and listening to people's experiences, because I think that will be very interesting, is to see what sort of experiences people have had getting involved with the campaign and what it meant for them and how it made them actually change their perspective as far as addiction is concerned.
No, most definitely. And maybe an answer to a question of yours earlier is that perhaps maybe we can look at a partnership that seeks to promote the success stories of addiction rather than the failures of addiction. We can look at the success stories of recovery, and hopefully through this medium, we'll be able to encourage those that are still behind the closet to come out.
Definitely. I so agree with you there. I most
It's
definitely agree
something
with you here. I will
something
be
we can
keeping
take
in
offline.
touch with you, Brother Nazar. But thank you so much. We seem
Jazakallah
to
so
run
much.
out of time. All the best, and Jazakallah for joining us and inspiring us this morning. Take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah wa alaikum salam. Jazakallah for hosting us.
Nazar Loonat giving us his perspective on SANCA's Kick Your Habit campaign. And as we know, he's just shed some very important light. It's not just about substance abuse. And I think that has given us some good food for thought. Stay with us. We'll be back with you in a moment.